Hello everyone, this is Aya from Hinawi Software. Our topic for today is extremely useful. We are going to talk about the timesheet menu. Basically, I'm going to show you the settings for timesheet, and then I'm going to move forwards and start with creating a timesheet for a specific employee and proceed forwards with activities. First of all, notice here that I'm logged in from the admin account because I want to show you very sensitive data and sensitive windows regarding the settings. Therefore, I want everything to be displayed clearly and with no disabling of anything. First of all, I'm going to go to the File menu, and then I'm going to go to Setup Modules, and then I'll go to the HRMS settings and General settings. Afterwards, notice here that in this window, which is the general settings for HRMS, we have several company names listed here. So basically this shows the flexibility and the amount of companies the system can handle all in one window. And each one of them can be set up according to the policies of that company individually. So basically each one of them contains its own unique setup. Let's go to the test company right here, and then from here we can see the settings which are displayed for this specific company we have selected, and then we will go to the timesheet policy. Of course, this is the core of the system, so basically everything else, all the menus, all the activities will later on read from here. So we have to make sure that this applies perfectly right according to the company policies, and afterwards it will read from here. So let's see, in the timesheet policy, we have those items listed here. First of all, we have the timesheet setup. This will show us whether we want the timesheet selection to be detailed, summary, or monthly. Like after choosing the specific type of timesheet from here, it's going to be displayed in the menu itself. From here, at the time of creating a timesheet, it will display between parentheses the specific type which we have selected. So right now it's selected as detailed. If we, for example, which is here, detailed, if we, for example, select add summary and then we save and close this, it will affect the timesheet. It will affect it instantly and display it as summary. So it will instantly read the new setup which we have made. Same thing applies to the monthly selection. If we choose this as monthly and then we save and close, data is saved successfully. And then we go to the timesheet, it will instantly change to monthly. We always recommend using the first option, which is detailed, because it doesn't show you the total number in general. It shows you exactly the detailed information which you need to write hour by hour, day by day, for each and every employee. You will be able to mention all the details in that window. If we change it to summary, we can here select whether we want to deduct the holidays when the labor is absent. If we want to see what is this exactly, we'll click here on the question mark, and then it shows us that if you tick this option, the system will deduct the salary of holidays and the off days as well, which will be set up previously. The off days could be like, for example, Friday only or Friday and Saturday. It will all read from the setup. So if we take this option, the system will deduct the salary of both the holidays and the off days based on the percentage of absence from the whole. So that's what it means when we select this one. Here we have the basis of calculation of absence as hours and basis of calculation of absence as days. So it shows us that if we fill the basis of calculation of absence, the system will calculate the absence hours separately based on the absence which we will fill here, and then it will be subtracted from the total monthly salary. So this will depend on each employee individually, because each employee contains or has a specific salary different than the others. So it will read accordingly, And if we keep it blank, the system will calculate present hours only. So we don't have to like mandatory fill this field. However, if we do not fill it, the system will calculate the present hours only. It will not calculate the absence hours or days. So let's see an example here. For example, month is January, which contains 31 days, which is basically 248 hours. The monthly salary for the employee, let's say, is 3,000, and the absent for days is 40 hours. Now let's see both ways, if we fill it or if we do not fill it. Now, if we choose not to fill this, the system will calculate the salary by taking the present hours only, which is the 248, minus the 40, which is 208. And the salary will be 3,000, which is the total salary here, multiplied by 208, which we got from here, divided by 248, which is the total number of hours in 31 days, which is this amount. So this will result in case if we do not fill it. However, if we choose to fill this based on 240 hours, the system will calculate the absence days first and then deduct it as the following. The absence will be 3,000 multiplied by 40, which is 40 hours from here for 5 days, and then divided by 240, which will equal to 500. And same thing applies to the salary, 3,000 minus the 500, which we've got here in the absence result, which will give us a total of 2,500. So look at the basic total salary here, the total amount for the salary in case if we do not fill it or in case if we fill it. That's the difference. That's the main difference. So we have to be very careful at the time of deciding whether to fill it or not if we choose summary. Same thing applies to monthly. If we choose monthly, this will be grayed out. It will be disabled because we do not want to select this option anymore. We will select it as monthly. And here we can set the overtime for hours per day, like normal days. If an employee works for like 2 or 3 hours overtime in a normal Monday, for example, or a Tuesday, and how the overtime hours will be calculated per day in holidays. Usually, or like let me say 99% of the time, holidays have a higher rate, a higher number of amount in overtime than the normal days. Like holidays is always considered more than the normal days. So we can set it from here, the overtime hours per day, and we can also set the maximum number of holidays the employee or the labor can work. So like it doesn't have to be left undecided. We can set it to be, for example, 20 days for a holiday. If an employee decides to work more than 20 days in a holiday, then the system will not allow it. So we can set this as the maximum, or we can set it by default to accept whatever number of holidays that the employee or the labor wants without specifying a specific number for that. Also, we have deduct absence days from the service period for timesheet employees based on any specific date. So we can set it from here. But as I have mentioned, we will set this as detailed. And we have a note here. Note that the selection can be changed anytime. It doesn't mean that if you choose this once, it's set forever. No, you can set it again and again, monthly, weekly, daily, yearly, whenever you want. And it can be changed from detailed to summary. It can be converted. It can be entered or remain the same for future changes. So that's the main thing for timesheet general setup. We also have the unit list, which is just mainly the information we have here regarding both the hours and days. It says that it's applicable to summary and detailed. It shows us that the hours regarding the unit list is applicable only to both the summary and the detailed. However, days as a unit list applies to summary, detailed, and also monthly. So regarding monthly, hours is not possible, but regarding the days unit list, monthly will be displayed clearly from here. when creating the shift. Also, we use the unit number for hours or days when creating the shift. So that's just general information. We also have the shift and holiday setup from here. This is extremely useful, and we have to make sure that this is complete, or at least contains the required amount of shifts and the required names of the shifts which we want before proceeding forwards with setting or linking employees to shifts at the time of creating the timesheet. So from here, we first decide what is the shift code or name. Let me show you a new one. Let's say the shift code here is B, and we can set the unit type, which we have seen in the unit list. It can either be hours or days. The first one is in hours. The second one could be in days. See here, it shows us that the days is set like this. However, if we choose hours, it will be set up like where we can choose to write the number of shifts and write the unit freely. It's not fixed. However, when we choose days, this one is fixed, and we cannot write anything in the number of shifts, neither in the units. It's always 1 and 1 here. Let's say we want it in hours, and let's say we want it to be 1 shift, and the units are, let's say, 9. What is the meaning of units here? It means from to. It will decide the from to time. So if I choose this as, let's say, 8 a.m., it will instantly display the to time as 5 p.m. Not like the one above it, because the one above it is instantly displayed as 4 p.m. since the units are 8 units. Only 8 units, which means 8 hours. But here, 9 units, which means 9 hours. So basically the working hours per day. That's the main difference. If we set this as 2 shifts, you see here, we will decide the units, which let's say 7, and here we will decide 8 a.m. and it will instantly tell us the to time. But notice here the message which we received now on the screen. It's very important. It shows us that you cannot choose for the same unit type and for the same shift. You cannot choose a duplicate from time, because like how can you choose 2 different shifts to start at the same time? It's not possible. So let's say, for example, this will start at 9 a.m. Again, it shows us that it's not duplicate because it's within the range of the previous one. So in this case, we will solve this problem and write 6 p.m. and enter. It doesn't show us that message of duplication anymore because we have 2 different shifts. The range is not causing any problem, the range in time, because it starts from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. That's the first shift, and the second shift starts at 6 p.m., which is directly after 5 p.m. We can also do this in a different way. For example, let's say till 5:01 p.m. Also, it's fine because it doesn't fall in any range of duplication, which means that the first shift will start from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. and the second shift will start right after the ending of the first shift. It will start at 5:01 p.m. till 12:01 a.m., which is, as we have said, automatically like calculated based on the units. And here we have that if the shift is not set up or assigned, default hours taken for the calculation will be the following: 8, 9, 10. Like that's the default hours for calculation. So that's the main thing. In the shift here, we will choose what is the start day of the week. So is it Saturday, Monday, like where does it start? And you can see here, it shows us that it's Saturday now. If we set this as Sunday, it will instantly be changed to Sunday as the start work date. And from here, we will choose what are the off days regarding each shift. First of all, regarding the first shift, which is 8 units, and regarding the second shift, which is divided into the 2 different shifts which we have created. One is 9 units and the second one is 7 units. So here we set the different work off days from here. For example, let's say Friday for this one and for this one. So that's how it's calculated. That's basically the main thing. And here regarding Saturday, we will choose also this to be as off days. So what this means is that both Friday and Saturday for both shifts are now off days. And from here we have Friday and Saturday both off days for the first shift. We also have setting holidays, and we can add more holidays regarding the timesheet from the file menu and then settings and then company setup and then set holidays. It's from a different location than the timesheet, but our main focus for today is regarding the timesheet itself. But this, of course, is also there. And this is the summary right here, which shows us the total amount of shifts, the total amount of working units per day and per week, and also per month. That's the total. As we have said now in this window, which I have just shown you, we can see that from the company setup and then from holidays setup, we can select the public holidays, the type from to is also available, and the timesheet will read from here regarding the holidays. This is the weekly off days for the company in general. We're not talking here about a specific shift or a specific person or employee. We are talking about the general week off days for the company. So that's set up from here. This usually applies to like HR employees. They benefit from this more because timesheet employees each contains his or her own shift and different timings. So I have shown you the timesheet setup, the unit list, the shift holiday setup. Here we can see that we also have the timesheet and overtime setup. We can choose the shifts, which will read from the shifts we have created earlier. And then from here, we will see the maximum overtime per day. And we can check this as yes or no, whether we want the overtime to be calculated. And from the basis of the monthly hours, we can see this as calculate. Now, what is the meaning of calculate? What is this? When we click this, it shows us that the overtime calculation basis is the following. We first enter the standard hours as basis for the calculation. If we put 0 in the calculate here, the system will take the actual shift hours, meaning that, let's say the month of January, it will be calculated in the following method. Salary item multiplied by the rate, multiplied by the number of overtime hours, divided by 31 multiplied by shift. Now the second one right here for June is exactly the same, but the only difference is the number of days here, which are 31 days since it's January, and 30 days for June, because it's taking the actual shift hours, just like the actual days for HR and fixed 30 days for also HR employees. So this is very similar to that. It shows us now that regarding timesheet employees, we can also set this as actual shift hours if we put 0 in the calculate. However, if we put 240 in the calculate, the system will take the value itself in the calculate column, which means that the overtime will be calculated exactly the same in all months. Salary item times rate times the number of overtime hours divided by 240 always. So we have this very flexible to choose whether we want it to be selected as 0, 240 or whatever we want. So this is the main thing regarding the basis monthly hours. And that's how timesheet overtime is calculated. Now this is set for automatic adjust time. We can change this to manually. Manually allows us to change it over time. We do not have to be fixed in a specific calculation for like later usage. We can set it as manually to be able to change it anytime later. So that's how it's calculated from here. And it doesn't apply to HR employees, of course, because everything we're talking about in this video applies to timesheet employees only. And this is just a sample calculation. It shows us how it's calculated based on the shifts, based on the normal hours rate and the normal daily rate and the overtime per one normal day and per 2 holidays. Like this just gives us like a clear idea regarding the calculation of this for the shifts which we have created and everything. So this is everything regarding the timesheet. Now, after we make sure everything is complete from the timesheet setup, we go to the timesheet menu and we set the location project list. Let's say we want to choose the same company which we have just seen. It will show us that we have only project code A. We did not save project B. It was only displayed as project A. Let me check here that regarding this timesheet policy, we can see that in the unit list, okay, in the shift and holidays, you see here that we have shifts as A and B, and we have successfully saved them. Perfect. So from here, we will have the project displayed, and we will have project code, which we want to set here, and the project title. This is different than the shift. Actually, this one is regarding the project only. So we can set it from here regarding new, and then we can set this as, let's say, new project. And we can set the title in both Arabic and English. We can set whether it's active or inactive. We can set test, for example, let me say the country, United Arab Emirates, AD. Of course, we can add more cities from here, from FN, F2 on the keyboard, and then we can add more cities. Okay, and we can set the start date, any general notes we want, and successfully save and close this. So basically, all the projects can be created from the project list. We can import from a customer list. We can create a new one, and we can also edit an existing one. We can delete an existing one. We can also print the existing one. So basically, that's how it's calculated. We also have assigning employees to timesheet. Let's say we want to choose this company, view. Okay, so it shows us here that the employees for this company which we have selected are 2 employees. One is assigned to be calculated salary sheet from HR and one as timesheet. So at the time of creating a timesheet, the only employee which will appear in the list is this employee, employee number 77. The other employee will not be displayed since the salary sheet for this employee is calculated based on HR, not based on timesheet. So that is the main difference between salary sheet from HR and salary sheet from timesheet. And it shows us, of course, the status, like is the salary sheet created yet? Is it not created yet? So it shows us everything from here. We can set this anytime, change this anytime. So that's how it's calculated. And now let's save and close this. Okay, we also have a assigning employees to projects, which will read from the project list which we have created here. Now again, I will repeat that the project is different than the shift. The shift reads from the settings which I have shown you in the settings in the setup for the timesheet window. However, the project will be reading from the project list which we have seen here, and we will be able to add new projects from the project list. We can also transfer among locations or projects, either a single or group. So let's see here when we assign, for example, let me see any test company and then search. Let me view this. It shows us that here we have this employee from this department with this position, and this employee is assigned to this project. And notice here that the other employee is not showing, because that other employee is not a timesheet employee. That employee is an HR employee. And why is it displayed in red? Because currently the employee is inactive. Inactive could have many different reasons, such as a leave, an absence, a holiday, end of service, like many different reasons for an employee to be inactive. This black color means that the employee is actually active and assigned. So basically, that's how it is from here. We also have transferring among locations and projects, as I have said before. But before I go into this, I will show you the different shifts which we have. Okay, and let's set this as, let's see if we have anything from January 1st, for example, till 31, and let's click on go. As you see here now, we have this employee which we have seen, and yes, we do have a shift set between these two dates, and we have this employee set for the first shift, not the second shift, because I have as we have seen together in the settings for timesheet, we have created shift B, right? So shift B is currently not assigned for this employee. This employee is assigned for shift A, not for shift B. Let's leave it like that. By the way, we can see also the shift information from here, and it will all read from the settings. We have chosen here that it will read like the off days for both Friday and Saturday. So both Friday and Saturday will be off days. All the other days of the week will be weekdays. So it's perfect here. We have made sure that there is a shift between these two dates. This is useful information because at the time of creating timesheet, we will choose the same date which we have seen here. Okay, now it's time to see the transferring. As we have seen before, we have the shift, the project, the assigning for timesheet. Now it's time to transfer among locations or projects. Afterwards, we can edit or delete the transfer, or approve or edit or delete after approval. So this actually depends on the permissions which are given, provided, or permitted to the user at the time of like changing the locations or projects. Let's see here. Let's choose this employee and let's search for this employee. We will set this. As we can see here, it shows us that the current location is project 1. Let's say we want the new location or the new project to be as test, and let's say here important change. Okay, and now let's save and close this, and we have to choose the employee name, of course, which is this employee, and then we save and close it, and then it's saved successfully. So afterwards we can edit or delete it. Let's go to the same company which we have seen. Look here, it shows us that this employee wants to move to this test, or project. This is useful, as I said, if another user is applying the approval or the deleting or the editing. So we can click on this and either delete or edit it. In case we do not want to delete or edit, we can then proceed forwards and approve it. So same thing applies here. We click on test company and we click on view and click here, and instantly we can approve it. So that's the main difference among different permissions. Now, after we have made sure that everything is perfect and we have all the projects or the lists or the employees assigned to timesheet, all the shifts, let's create a timesheet. But before I create a timesheet, let's change the form to a detailed, because as I have mentioned, it's mostly preferable and recommended. So I want to go to the timesheet setup and click on detailed and click on save and close. Detailed is very user friendly because you don't have to be complicated with any calculation. You enter everything at once in there. So by the way, notice here that after creation we can delete it later on. We can also print, we can see a work group list, but for now let's create. Let's choose the same company name and let's choose the same dates which we have made sure that there is a shift for that date, which is January 1st till January 31, and then let's click on view. And as you see here, we have this employee, we have all the information regarding the days, the off days, the absences, everything is displayed here, and we can see that the salary sheet is created or not, like the status of it. We can see the working time from to, we can see the units, which are 8 units. Of course, there are 8 units because it's from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. and the total, which is 8. And what is the project which we have assigned? As we have made sure before, the project is project 1. We can change this to another project, and you can see here that the salary sheet is created. So that's the main thing regarding timesheet. We can change this. We can set this as absence. We can set this as sick leave, holiday. That's the main difference in absence between HR and timesheet employees, because HR employees have their absences created instantly from here. Notice here we have HR employees only. However, for timesheet employees, we can create a new absence from here. Afterwards, it will show us the total working hours per day, per holiday, and like everything here. And the auto fill mode is employee wise. That's how it's selected from here. If we want to create a new employee for the same set of like the date, we can click on this icon and insert another employee. Afterwards, after we have made sure that the timesheet is successfully created, we can proceed forwards with creating the salary sheet, which is from timesheet, payroll, and then creating. This is covered in another video other than the timesheet itself, but our main focus for today's video is the timesheet itself, the timesheet. But you have to make sure and you have to keep in mind that you cannot create salary sheet if you keep the timesheet not created or empty. You have to create the timesheet, create it and save it, and then create the payroll for timesheet and proceed with payments. So the payroll is in another video. Make sure you watch that video. But for now, timesheet is created this way from here. After we make sure the setup is complete, settings is perfect, and this is filled. We can delete it, as I have said, print the card, see the work group list, and from here we can see more information. If we want to see a manual, a workflow in both Arabic and English, in order to get a deeper idea about how this menu works for the employees. And of course, as any other activity, any other menu, any other module in the system, we have the HRMS reports, where we can see complete reports regarding timesheet for both shifts, monthly attendance, detailed timesheet reports or detailed project reports by either employee, summary, project, services, month. Everything is displayed here regarding the timesheet reports and regarding later on the salary sheet reports for those timesheet employees in all details. So that's it for today's video. By the way, don't forget here that we have update to QuickBooks menu, which will show us that in the HRMS update, we can post the timesheet salary payment later on, created from WPS, which is the wage protection system. That's also explained in another video, the wage protection system. And we also have the timesheet salary for all payment modes. So those are the two items which we can set and post that to QuickBooks. We can also post the leave salary for both HR and timesheet employees. So make sure that you always keep everything updated to the accounting, which is to QuickBooks. This will make sure that you are working correctly, everything is fine, it's all updated, and you can either select it as automatic update or manual update as per company policies. But the most important thing is to keep this updated always after you complete the activity 100%. So that's it for today's video. I hope it was easy and not complicated at all, because it's not complicated at all. And make sure you watch our other videos. Make sure you subscribe to our channel, and also make sure to like this video and share it with anyone who might be interested in the topic. Thank you.